What's up, dudes? My name is Nick. Welcome back for another K-pop news video. Of course, I only really talk about news stuff when it's relatively, I guess, important, or I have something significant, something substantial, I guess, to say. And, well, this, I suppose, is one of those times because, well, first off, we're not talking about the fact that JYP, the company and the individual might be involved with a cult, which is, was the big news that I woke up to on Wednesday. That was very, very exciting. But the news that has conveniently come out at the same time is the fact that the finalist group from the survival show that YG Entertainment created called Mixnine is actually not going to happen. They're not going to, debut as a finalist group. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So just today, I saw that YG kind of posted their apology for it and kind of explained gave some details as to a little bit of what went on with, well, why basically the deal for this group to actually promote kind of fell through. And I think it's a little telling and kind of reveals potentially a little bit as to the motivation and potentially a little bit of the reason that, well, YG did the negotiations and stuff like that the way that they did. So of course their apology actually admits that Mixnine was kind of a flop as a TV show, that people really just didn't care about it and all that. But despite admitting that the show did not come off as planned, they did say that they were still, committed to promoting the group and doing all this other stuff. But while they were committed, they didn't realize that the initial contract length that I guess had been agreed upon or something like that was not enough to kind of meet the plans that the production team, the producers, everyone over at the, that makes music and stuff like that at YG Entertainment had kind of planned. Because one, they wanted to make 15 songs for this group so that they could hold a solo concert at some point. I don't specifically know, I'm not really in the loop as to what that solo concert is that they're talking about, but they wanted 15 songs for this group so that they can perform at a solo concert. And, not only that, but they didn't think that the original length was enough time to properly put together a good product when it comes to producing, choreography and a song and a music video and, doing a good solid round of promotions and stuff like that either. They just didn't think that it was enough time. On top of the fact that YG actually said that in this day and age in K-pop, you don't just debut to instant success like I guess you did back in the day, which I don't think that was really the case either, but maybe the market definitely has changed. It's become a little bit more saturated, I guess. Again, I don't have firsthand knowledge of anything before like 2013, so I'm a little in the dark in that regard. But YG was like, we need more time to actually produce a good product and of course, get proper promotions and actually build up a fan base for this group for Mixnine. So they went back to the companies and proposed some other things. And there was a little bit of negotiation between the two, between all of the different companies who have idols and trainees and YG Entertainment. And I guess the final offer that YG had on the table for the companies was basically that they would interchange promotions 6 months at YG Entertainment, 6 months at the agency that the idols belong to and they would switch off every 6 months for a duration of, well, 3 years. So essentially YG wanted to, to promote this group, the Mixnine finalists, for essentially 18 months, or have ownership, I suppose, of the group for 18 months, but split up over the course of 18 months of the course of 3 years, which is a really, really long time. And that is the moment when at least a couple, but probably not an insignificant number of agencies were like, no, that's not a good deal for us, and we're not going to do that. And so YG was like, that was our final offer. It's not going to happen now. And they're like, and YG kind of released a whole apology statement. It's like, we're really sorry, we regret, and we're sad, and we're disappointed, and we're upset, and all this other sort of stuff. And, all this sort of, crap went on. And so that's that. So, looks like YG tried, and the companies that were responsible for the idols that participated in the show that made it to the final group just didn't want to play ball. That's what it looks like on the surface. But if you really kind of think about it a little bit more, potentially, it really is like, one, YG two things, well, maybe three things with this. Like, one, the 3-year contract split into 6-month periods where YG is responsible for them for half of the year, and then the other agencies are responsible for the individuals the other half of the year. That's just not really a very good way to promote. If you go back to the initial sort of statement that YG said, where, you know, groups don't just have instant success anymore and they need time to build, splitting up promotions like that into 6 months, taking a 6-month break between promotion cycles, that's not really the way that you become a, you know, massively popular group. That's not how you're going to have IOI or 101 levels of success. That's, you know, completely ignoring the fact that this group probably wasn't going to have, you know, success to the same levels that the Produce 101 groups did. But that's not really, you know, relevant to this topic. But, you know, going and having your 18-month contract split up over 3 years is not a very good way. It's not going to be a particularly successful way to run a group for YG Entertainment. And then, of course, on top of that, that also does apply to the agencies that are responsible for the idols too. If the groups that those trainees and idols are a part of are, you know, having to take 6 months off and promoting, you know, 3 times a year apart, it just isn't a good way to build up their brand. And of course, K-pop, which we realize that when, you know, when a group basically has, they'll release an album and then they'll do like a repackaged album, and then maybe they'll do a single album or something like that. They're putting out like 3 or 4 music videos a year or something like that on a pretty consistent basis. And the reason for that is because the way that you actually stay relevant and you keep people talking about you in K-pop, because there's so many groups out there, is to just continue releasing music. You know, the groups that people talk about the most are the ones that are going through like 2 or 3 promotion cycles every single year. So going through one promotion cycle every 12 months, that isn't going to cut it. That just isn't, you know, going to work unless, you know, you're from YG, you're like Blackpink, who's really, really successful without having, well, much of a discography or promotion cycles and stuff like that. You know, it just is, if you're from a big group, you're going to be popular, or if you're from a big company, you're going to be popular, and you don't necessarily have to promote as hard as another, you know, company does. So all of these idols who are, you know, members of smaller groups from smaller companies that need to promote consistently, they're going to be kind of screwed. They're going to be shit out of luck with this sort of contract. So I understand why they wouldn't really want to go with that, because it's not something that is advantageous to them. And of course, going back to the fact that having your promotion cycle split up, you know, 6 month periods over 3 years for YG, that, again, like YG said, is not really enough time to build up the reputation of that group, which is not going to actually benefit the, you know, the members of that group to then transfer that popularity onto the group that they're actually a member of, if that makes any sense. You know, like you're not going to have like a newest, you know, sort of, you know, resurgence in popularity and attention because of a member being in 101. You know, that's not going to happen with this group just because of the way that those terms of that contract are. So there's that. And it just is a really, really bad promo schedule and cycle for both YG Entertainment and the other agencies that are involved in, you know, basically providing for the trainees. On top of that, going through that cycle is 2 promotion cycles a year at the very least, which of course most companies do that, but that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work, constant work for 3 straight years. Probably not good. And of course, the companies and the agencies who you know, hold the original contracts with most of these trainees and idols, they're not benefiting out of all of that work for half of the year. So it's not really, they don't benefit from any of the work and that expense. In that regard, is not really a very good contract. But also something that I've seen people say around on the internet and stuff like that, which I think might also be a little bit of a possibility, and I can kind of see, because YG offers some absolute, you know, horseshit terms for their contracts and how things are going to work out. And people have been saying, and I kind of do agree with this, that YG just wanted to give the worst terms that they possibly could so that the agencies didn't want to agree with it, and then so YG could just end Mixnine, just be done with it, and then walk away and forget that it ever happened. Because of course the show was not a huge success, and you know, they weren't going to be able to translate that success into attention and success for the group. So YG purposefully kind of sabotaged their negotiations. They made the attempt, so they can make like that, so it could look like they actually made the attempt on that, but purposefully, you know, kind of gave bad terms so that the group agencies wouldn't, you know, agree to it, and the YG could say, well, at least we tried, you know, sorry fans, you know, we did what we could, but, you know, it just wasn't good enough for these people. And, you know, that's kind of shitty. So that kind of goes back to the video that I made a while back, where I kind of talked about what exactly was the point of, especially idols, you know, members of relatively established groups participating in both the unit and Mixnine. So the unit, the girl group hasn't debuted yet. They're coming out this month. UNB, they're already out, and they're relatively, you know, doing relatively okay. But just in terms of Mixnine, what exactly was the point of any of these idols participating in Mixnine? They participated on a show that wasn't very successful, so their popularity boost and their attention, you know, the amount of attention that they've gotten probably wasn't really a massive boost like they potentially were expecting. And the upside of winning the show, making the final group, which was you're going to get a good solid, you know, period of promotion from one of the biggest companies in K-pop that is going to get you a lot of attention, that's not going to happen. So YG, by, you know, basically profited off of these idols and the companies that provided them for their own, you know, gain, and then actually didn't give anything back necessary of much substance, I should say. So, you know, again, going back to my thing, what was the point? Like I had said, like it would be much more valuable for these companies to take their idols and promote them with their groups originally than to participate in this show. You know, and I said that about both Mixnine and the unit. And turns out that at the end of the day, Mixnine, it probably would have been better for most of these groups to, you know, go through a promotion cycle while Mixnine was on air, not send idols to participate in it. And at the end of the day, you know, all of these people who made it to the final group are just, you know, left hung out to dry. Both the individuals who participated and made it to the end of to the final group, and also the companies that sent them and provided, you know, their labor, so to speak. It just is really shitty. It is really, really scummy and really, really poor, you know, business and really, really poor form from YG Entertainment. And, you know, if I was a CEO of one of these companies, I'd be calling up all of my buddies who had members in this final group, and I'd be like, we probably need to, you know, look at what our contract is with YG, and we need to probably sue them because this is bullshit. You know, you didn't fulfill your end of the contract, and, you know, that sucks. So if they'd like initially agreed to like I think it was a 4-month promotion period or something like that after the show, then YG needs to put in 4 months of work to produce whatever they want to produce. Like they need to do that. They need to deliver some sort of product like they'd, you know, agreed to in their contract. If they're not going to do that, then I would sue them to get something out of it, because, you know, we just pissed away 6 months of time that we could have used to promote our groups. And here we are, we basically are, we're like net zero. We haven't gained or lost. Well, we probably have lost a little bit of something by not actually releasing anything and being active producing music for our groups. But most people didn't actually benefit from this, if anybody, you know, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, is that YG Entertainment just wasted everybody's time by putting together a show that didn't perform with the ratings, didn't get a lot of attention, and then when it comes down to it, they're just not gonna fulfill on what the end goal and the entire point of the show is, which is really, really bad. So hopefully YG doesn't try anything like this again. Like I had heard at the beginning or the end of last year, the YG was planning on, you know, putting together a dating show or some shit like that, and I hope that if it uses idols and stuff like that, like I'd heard was the rumor, that nobody actually sends anybody to participate in that, because clearly YG is not going to, follow through on their promises or what they say that they're going to do. They have no credibility as far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, well, YG always, YG never has ever stuck to the schedule, ever said, followed anything that they've ever said. And yeah, that is true too. So, I don't think maybe this isn't really much of a surprise that YG just like seemingly doesn't know what the individual knows what he's doing when it comes to running his company and promoting groups and just getting shit done. Somebody over there doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe it's a whole lot of people that don't know what they're doing. Maybe it comes from YG himself. I have no idea, but something over there probably needs to change, because as time goes on, you know, the company looks really, really shady. Like, they produce really, really good music. Like, the music production, all that stuff from YG Entertainment is really, really good. But the management of their artists and the groups and all that stuff, it's really, really seriously lacking, and probably needs to be a little bit better than it is. You know, those are just my 2 cents. So that's it. Just wanted to make this video. Well, I was gonna say quickly, but 15 minutes is not a very quick video, but that's what I gotta say. That's really what I've got to say about this. So I'm a little upset about this whole thing. So that's what I gotta say. I want to know what you guys think about this. You know, let me know down in the comments whatever it is that you've got to say. It doesn't matter whether you agree with my position on this or you disagree with my position on this. That's perfectly fine. Leave your thoughts in the comment box below, because we're trying to build a community here that is all about having some free and open discussion about our thoughts and opinions, no matter what they are. So if you're interested in joining that community, click the subscribe button down below. And of course, click that bell icon so you can turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss a video. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.